Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to learn about the second part of emergency provision, that is President's Rule, which come under article number 356. So let's start with the ground of imposition. So on what ground President's Rule can be imposed? So it is imposed on the basis of article number 355, which imposes a duty on the center to ensure that the government of every state is carried on in accordance with the provision of the constitution. So it is this duty in the performance of which the center takes over the government of a state under article number 356 in case of failure of constitutional machinery in state. The president's rule can be proclaimed under article number 356 on two grounds, one mentioned in article number 356 itself and another in article 365. Article 356 empowers the President to issue a proclamation if he is satisfied that a situation has arisen in which the government of a state cannot be carried on in accordance with the provision of the Constitution. Notably, the President can act either on the report of the Governor of the state or otherwise too. Article number 365 states whenever a state fails to comply with or to give effect to any direction from the center, it will be lawful for the president to hold that a situation has arisen in which the government of the state cannot be carried on in accordance with the provisions of the constitution. Second, parliamentary approval and duration. So, like in national emergency, it must be approved by both the houses of the parliament within 2 months from the date of its issue. However, if the proclamation of the president's rules is issued at the time when the Lok Sabha has been dissolved or the dissolution of the Lok Sabha take place during the period of 2 months without approving the proclamation, then the proclamation survive until 30 days from the sitting of the Lok Sabha after its reconstitution, provided the Rajya Sabha approved it in the meantime. So, if approved by both the houses of parliament, it continues for 6 months and it can extend for a maximum period of 3 years with the approval of parliament every 6 months. Unlike a national emergency, which can be extended for indefinite period of time with the approval of parliament every 6 months, president's rule can be extended only for a maximum period of 3 years. However, if the dissolution of the Lok Sabha take place during the period of 6 months without approving the further continuation, then the proclamation survive until 30 days from the sitting of the Lok Sabha after its reconstitution, provided the Rajya Sabha approves it in the meantime. Every resolution approving the proclamation of the President's rule or its continuation can be passed by either of the House of the Parliament only by simple majority. The 44th Constitutional Amendment 1978 introduced a new provision to restrain on the power of the Parliament to extend the proclamation of President's rule beyond 1 year. Thus, it provided that beyond 1 year, the President's rule can be extended by 6 months at a time only when the following two conditions are fulfilled. First condition is a proclamation of national emergency should be in operation in the whole of the India or in the whole of the state or a part of it. Second is the election commission must certify that the general elections to the legislative assembly of the concerned state cannot be held on account of difficulties. A proclamation of president's rule can be revoked by the president at any time by a subsequent proclamation. Such a proclamation does not require the parliamentary approval. So, what are the consequences of President's rule? The President acquire the following extraordinary powers during the President's rule. He can take up the function of state government and power vested in the governor or any other executive authority in the state, first. Second is he can declare that the power of the state legislature are to be exercised by the parliament. And third one, he can take all the other necessary steps, including the suspension of the constitution provision relating to anybody or authority in the state. Therefore, when the president's rule is imposed in a state, the president dismisses the state council of ministers headed by the chief minister. The state governor, on the behalf of president, carries on the state administration with the help of chief secretary of the state or the advisor appointed by the president. Further, the president can either suspend or dissolve the state legislature. The parliament can delegate the power to make laws for the state to the president or to any other authority specified by him in this regard. The parliament, or in case of delegation, the president or any other authority can make laws conferring powers or imposing duties on the center, its officers, and authorities. The president can authorize, when the Lok Sabha is not in session, expenditure from the state consolidated fund pending its session by the parliament. The president can promulgate, when the parliament is not in session, ordinance for the governance of the state. Scope of judicial review. Like in national emergency, the 30th Constitutional Amendment 1975 made the satisfaction of the President in invoking Article number 356 final and conclusive, which could not be challenged in any court on any ground. So this provision was deleted by 44th Constitutional Amendment 1978, implying that the satisfaction of a President is not beyond judicial review. In Bomai case 1994, Supreme Court laid down following proposition on imposition of President's rule. First is, it is subjected to judicial review. The satisfaction of the President must be based on relevant material. The burden lies with the center to prove that the relevant material exists to justify the imposition of President's rule. The court cannot go into correctness of the material or its adequacy, but it can see whether it is relevant to the action. If the court holds the President's proclamation to be unconstitutional and invalid, it has power to restore the dismissed state government and revive the state legislative assembly if it was suspended or dissolved. The state legislative assembly should be dissolved only after the parliament has approved the presidential proclamation. Until such approval is given, the president can only suspend the assembly. In case parliament fails to approve the proclamation, the assembly would get reactivated. Secularism is one of the basic features of the constitution. Hence, a state government pursuing anti-secular politics is liable to action under Article number 356. The question of the government losing the confidence of the Legislative Assembly should be decided on the floor of the House, and until it is done, the ministry should not be unseated. Political party in power at the center will not have the authority to dismiss ministries formed by other party in the states, and the power under Article number 356 is an exceptional power and should be used only occasionally to meet the requirement of special situation. So, based on a report of Sarkaria Commission on Center and State Relations 1988 and the Supreme Court in Bomai case 1994 enlisted the situation where the exercise of the power under Article number 356 could be proper or improper. It could be proper, where after general election to the assembly, no party secures a majority, that is hung assembly, where the party have a majority in the assembly declines to form a ministry and the governor cannot find a coalition ministry commanding a majority in the assembly, or where a ministry resign after its defeat in the assembly and no other party is willing or able to form a ministry commanding a majority in the assembly, or where a constitutional direction of the central government is disregarded by the central state government and there is internal subversion, or finally there is physical breakdown where the government willfully refuses to discharge its constitutional obligation endangering the security of the state. These are the list of conditions or situation in which the president rule can be imposed lawfully. And the second one here is the improper, where the president rule cannot be imposed based on these situations, where a ministry resign or is dismissed on losing majority support in the assembly and the governor recommends imposition of president's rule without probing the possibility of forming an alternative ministry, or where the governor makes his own assessment of the support of a ministry in the assembly and recommends imposition of president's rule without allowing the ministry to prove its majority on the floor of the assembly, or where the ruling party enjoying majority in the assembly has suffered a massive defeat in the general election to the Lok Sabha, such as in 1977 and 1980. Internal disturbance not amounting to internal subversion or physical breakdown, or maladministration in the state, or allegation of corruption against the ministry, or stringent financial exigence of the state, where the state government is not given prior warning to rectify itself except in case of extreme urgency leading to the disastrous consequences, or finally where the power is used to sort out intra-party problem of the ruling party, or for the purpose of extraneous or irrelevant to the one for which it has been conferred by the constitution.